What if reality is far stranger than our everyday perception suggests? Seriously, what if the world around you right now is just the surface of something infinitely more complex? Today, we're diving into this explainer to investigate one of the most profound questions in modern thought. We are going to embark on a journey that absolutely challenges the very fabric of how we perceive our world, looking at ideas that completely blur the lines between hard science, deep philosophy, and the unexplained. Just think about that for a second. What if every single part of the universe inherently contained information about the entire whole? We're going to explore whether space, matter, consciousness, and even memory are connected in ways we have yet to fully understand. I mean, could the universe itself actually be structured like a giant cosmic hologram? So here is our agenda for today's journey. 1. The holographic concept. 2. Physics and the brain. 3. Exploring the extraordinary. 4. Parallels in modern physics. And finally, 5. The enduring mystery. All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the holographic concept, a new view of reality. To really ground this, we have to talk about Michael Talbot's groundbreaking book, The Holographic Universe. What Talbot does here is absolutely fascinating. He synthesizes incredibly complex, emerging ideas from two entirely distinct scientific fields, physics and neuroscience. You see, Talbot isn't just reciting dry facts. He's piecing together a sweeping, ambitious, philosophical framework to ask if the universe operates in a fundamentally different way than what we've all been taught in school. Now, to grasp his core metaphor, we really need to understand what a hologram actually is. If you take a standard photograph and cut it in half, well, you only have half the picture, right? But a hologram is entirely different. It's a three-dimensional image created by lasers, and its defining, almost magical characteristic is that if you break a holographic film apart, each individual fragment, literally no matter how small you cut it, still contains the complete, intact picture of the whole object. Every part contains the whole. Keep that firmly in mind, because it is the key to everything we're about to discuss. And this property brilliantly illustrates why this concept is just so disruptive to mainstream thought. As the psychiatrist Dr. Stanislav Grof notes, the phenomena Talbot explores represent a serious challenge to the rigid, mechanical, Newtonian Cartesian paradigm of Western science that we've relied on for centuries. It suggests that our reality might not consist of isolated building blocks bumping into each other, but rather an incredibly deep, unbroken wholeness. Moving right along to Section 2, Physics and the Brain, the Twin Pillars. So when quantum physicists first started peering into the heart of the atom, they found themselves in a total Alice in Wonderland realm. They discovered that an electron possesses no actual physical dimension. And even more bizarrely, it can shapeshift. Depending on how we measure it, an electron can behave as a compact little particle, leaving a single distinct point of impact on a screen. But it can also dissolve into a blurry, wave-like cloud of energy, capable of going through two separate slits at the exact same time and creating complex interference patterns. It literally changes form depending on how we interact with it. This deeply strange, chameleon-like behavior at the quantum level inspired the brilliant physicist David Bohm. Bohm proposed that our visible, everyday universe, the one we touch and see, which he called the Implicate Order, is actually just the surface level. He suggested it emerges from a much deeper, hidden, undivided reality called the Implicate Order. Think of it like a vast underlying ocean where absolutely everything is connected, and the particles we see in our daily lives are just temporary little ripples on the surface of that ocean. Now, here is the crucial point of Talbot's entire thesis. He combines two massive ideas to form his twin pillars. On one side, you have David Bohm's implicate order from quantum physics. On the other side, you've got neuroscientist Karl Pribram's theory of the holographic brain. Pribram suggested that our brains actually don't store memories in specific localized cells, but rather they distribute them throughout the brain as patterns of energy, exactly like a hologram. So Talbot merges these two distinct theories into one staggering, speculative worldview, a holographic mind constantly interacting with a holographic universe. And according to the source text, we can even see potential holographic analogies in practical medicine. Take Dr. Terry Olison's research on ear acupuncture, for instance. This practice treats the human ear as a microsystem, basically a miniature map of the entire human anatomy. Astonishingly, in one study, medical diagnoses based entirely on examining these specific points in the ear matched established medical records 75.2% of the time. That is wild. Other researchers even claim to have found up to 18 different microacupuncture holograms mapped all across the body, the part, once again, perfectly reflecting the whole. Okay, let's venture a bit further out. In Section 3, Exploring the Extraordinary, the Fringes of Consciousness. To really flesh out his thesis, Talbot neutrally presents a massive catalog of extraordinary and, yes, scientifically controversial experiences. He offers these as potential evidence that our reality truly operates like a super hologram. We are talking about things like near-death experiences, retrocognition, physical materializations, and even the collective psychic projection of beliefs. Let's zoom in on a few of these because they are fascinating. For example, in the highly controversial field of psychic archaeology, Talbot highlights individuals like George McMillan. McMillan demonstrated an ability known as retrocognition. By simply pacing around a completely empty field, he could allegedly tune in to past historical events. In one famous instance, he accurately pinpointed the exact location of an ancient Iroquois longhouse, which was later entirely verified by physical excavation. Talbot suggests this is possible because the past isn't just lost to time, it's permanently recorded in the holographic film of the universe, and it's accessible if you know how to shift your focus. This concept even reaches into the realms of psychology and psychoanalysis. Edgar Levinson suggests that when therapy is going incredibly well, therapists aren't just uncovering dry facts, they're actually resonating with deeply buried three-dimensional spatial representations of a patient's life. It's almost like shining a laser to illuminate a hidden holographic image, where the therapist residents suddenly bring the patient's hidden psychological patterns into full, vivid view. Similarly, Talbot points out the astonishing consistencies in near-death experiences, or NDEs, found across completely different cultures worldwide. Experiencers frequently report floating out of their bodies and witnessing verifiable details they could not possibly have seen with their physical eyes. In one remarkable case, a woman out of body observed that her daughter, waning way down the hall in another room, had been hastily dressed in mismatched plaids. She later accurately confronted her family with this incredibly specific detail. For Talbot, this strongly supports a non-local reality where consciousness simply isn't strictly confined to the physical brain. And Talbot pushes the boundaries even further here, speculating about what he calls omnijective manifestations. He suggests that highly emotionally charged historical miracles, or perhaps even UFO sightings, might literally be holographic projections of our collective human beliefs and mythologies. Take the Angels of Mons, for example, where hundreds of World War I British soldiers reported seeing a massive apparition of St. George and angels in the sky. Was this a psychic exteriorization of the troops' intense collective emotions painted directly onto the canvas of reality? It's a staggering thought. Which brings us to Section 4, Parallels in Modern Physics, a Grounded Perspective. Now, as enthusiastic explorers of these ideas, it is absolutely vital that we maintain our journalistic distance here. Talbot's worldview is an undeniably fascinating synthesis. It beautifully connects genuine quantum weirdness with the deepest, most profound mysteries of human consciousness. But, and this is critical for us to remember, the holographic universe is a philosophical interpretation. The idea that psychic archaeology or historical miracles are ironclad proof of a holographic reality is not experimentally proven physics. It is, however, an incredibly compelling lens through which to view these anomalies. It's a powerful thought experiment that asks us to broaden our horizons and question our assumptions. And finally, Part 5, the enduring mystery, why the idea captivates us. Ultimately, this concept forces us to look in the mirror and ask a huge question. Is reality simply a stable, fixed construct that we passively walk through every day? Or, as quantum mechanics hints at, and Talbot so boldly suggests, is human consciousness somehow actively participating in and constantly sculpting the outward appearance of the world around us? It heavily implies that the universe might be far more deeply interconnected than our limited human senses can currently reveal. We don't have to accept every single paranormal claim to appreciate the sheer beauty of a universe where the part reflects the whole. Perhaps the greatest insight of the holographic universe isn't that reality is literally a laser-projected hologram, but that the cosmos is just far more intimately intertwined than we ever dared to imagine. Until next time, I'll leave you with this final thought. If reality is deeper than it first appears, how much of what we believe is simply the beginning of the story? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. If this sparked your curiosity, please leave a comment, subscribe, and enable notifications for future journeys with the Cosmic Librarian.